Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to be transforming a sketch that I created into a quality illustration using Midjourney. So Midjourney can transform even a very basic sketch like the one I should be sharing with you on the screen right now into something much better. You don't have to be an artist or anything like that. You can do a really basic doodle or sketch and it can be perfectly fine as a starting point to feed into Midjourney and try and get results from that. And then you can work on those images that are coming out by actually refeeding them back in and gradually build up a picture that is unique, where you have actually inputted the bare bones of that image yourself. In many cases in Midjourney, when you're trying to construct something, and just by prompting alone, it doesn't always give you the results that you want. Just by doing a very simple drawing, you can give Midjourney that kind of frame of reference that it needs in order to understand what you're saying. Okay, so for an example, I'm in Midjourney now, and I use this really simple prompt, a cat in a hat. And I did it twice, and as you can see, it's come up with some really similar results. I want to show you how the seed parameter can work. So we've got these cats, they're very similar actually in style, but they're not the same cat. I think you'd agree. Like, this cat is not the same as that cat. So we want the seed. To get the seed, we go to add reaction, we go to envelope, and you can just type it in if you can't see it there, and click on that, and then Midjourney send us a little message with the seed number. So then what I do is I put the cat in the hat again, and with the seed parameter there, and now we've got the same cats again. So they're identical, it's completely the same. And what we can do to manipulate that is, as long as we stay very close to the original prompt, we can make some changes and actually keep to the same character. So, for example, in this case, I put cat in a hat laughing. That was it. Same seed. And as you can see, this cat is identical to this cat again. And this cat is identical to this cat. The difference seems to be with this particular top one. Looks different to me, and also the background's different. This cat's sitting on a chair, but again, the last one is definitely identical. The background is a bit different on this, but you can see, you can experiment with it, but essentially it's definitely helping create that consistency that you'd want. Later on down the line, we are also using the seed in order to try and ensure the consistency between our designs. Okay, so now I'm going to jump back to that sketch and feed it into Midjourney. So what I did was I just pasted the link to this into the message box, then clicked send, and then you get your sketch there. So what I did was I then just click it and copy the link. Then I paste the link into this message box with the prompt by using the Imagine prompt box. There, so I paste the link in there, and then I also used a little bit of a prompt just basically describing the picture that I already had created, which is, cat sitting in flowers, sun shining, pastel colors, doodle art, hand drawn. Now, this is what the initial thing that it came up with, and you can see that it is using elements of that doodle there very much so, but it's a very basic drawing still, and also it looks like it's on a piece of paper, which is not really what we want. So I did a few more variations, and then I saw this one which took up much more of the page, so I did a variation of that. Okay, so then we got to this stage, this cat. So then what I wanted to do was grab the link from this one and use this as our initial frame of reference. And then we want to improve upon this design. So now we want to feed in this image instead. So we take the link from that, as you said, just click and copy the link. And then we copy that into our prompt box. And I've got the same prompt again, basically very similar. And you can see already it's improving it still further. It's a bit more detailed again. So I upscaled one of those, got to this one, which I think you agree is definitely got more detail to it. Then I posted it into another prompt. This time I added 8K, and I do think it makes a difference personally to these images. A bit more depth, the colors seem brighter. Later on I actually forget to put 8K in, and I think you can see the difference. So I've taken this image and again I've plugged it back in. What I want to do as well is I've created a variety of these kind of quite similar images, but one thing that you can do is you can actually feed in several images to Midjourney. So far I've only done kind of 3 or 4 at a time. You can do more. And it just gives Midjourney even more of a frame of reference on which to draw from. But so far we haven't used the seed either, so I will show you that in a second. I managed to get the seed then from this particular image. And just by contrast, this is the prompt, well, the very similar prompt I was using before with just a seed. So that doesn't have our images that we were feeding into Midjourney before. And as you can see, it's pretty different. This cat is probably the most similar for sure. And that's without having any of our original images, but it's still quite different. These three are obviously completely different. So then we use the seed, but with our own images that we had generated before. In this case, I just use one, but you could use several. And in this case, it's come up with our cat, but in a different scene. I have taken this prompt, but in this case, I slightly changed it. So in this case, I've done it by cat sitting by a house, butterfly sunset watercolor, and now it's coming up with this identical cat, but in a different scenario. The more that you change the prompt, the less similar it is. So you really have to be careful to just change small details, really. Otherwise, Midjourney starts getting confused and it kind of goes off track. Hopefully, at some point that may change, but right now you do have to be quite tight with the prompt. I then used one of the other images again, but this time did it cat chasing butterfly. The rest of the prompt is the same, and I used the same seed. And you can see it definitely is chasing a butterfly, and it's the same cat there. This time I wanted to change the scene again, so I put one of our images in, and then I put cat eating from a cat bowl in a farmhouse kitchen. It still managed to pretty much do what we wanted, except it doesn't quite look like it's inside a kitchen, and there's still these butterflies around. So what I actually did was I put in a no parameter, which you could put dash dash no and then whatever it is. So I put dash dash no butterflies. And in that case, it actually came up with this. Oh, in this case, I put 8K as well. So it's slightly different because I hadn't been putting in 8K before. But in this case, I put, still eating in a farmhouse kitchen. It's done a pretty good job, and it has taken out the butterflies as well. And then I put in 3 different images for this particular next prompt because it was a bit more further removed from the typical prompt, which is a cat next to a wicket basket, picnic, farm, sunset. So this from farm is basically the same, but the previous bit is different. So that's cat next to wicket basket, picnic, farm. It has put the butterflies back in there. You could try and specify that to be removed again, but these are still really good. And it has put in the wicker basket. It has got kind of a picnic element to it. So it's done a pretty good job. But as you can see, you just kind of have to experiment, and helping Midjourney by feeding in your images that are the same character that you want can really help. If you want to deviate from your prompt a little bit, and of course, just remembering also to use the same seed, which can help as well, just to have that extra consistency between results. Those were some of the first things that were coming out of Midjourney from that simple doodle. And then you can develop it into something like this, which I think is pretty amazing. And you might feel better that you may have created something a little bit more unique than just straight up posting a prompt into Midjourney. Doing something like trying to feed in the bare bones of your design from the get-go, even if it's a very simple sketch. So just to clarify, I'm definitely not a Midjourney expert or anything. I've only just started on it in the last couple of months. And so I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I've found really helpful. I know that some people have really strong opinions, and I think it's totally understandable. And I also think that we do have a responsibility, though, to try and use Midjourney in a way that is going to create something unique and not just churning out whatever Midjourney brings out on the first instance. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it there for now, but have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will speak to you again very soon.